What is going on, RP fam? Happy Wednesday to ya. Today I have quarterbacks, kickers, and running back videos all coming out. I'm going to give you guys my top options at each position, but in this one, we're just doing the top 25 quarterbacks for those in 2 quarterback and Superflex leagues, which everybody should be a part of by now. At least try it out if you have not already. I'm also going to give you guys my top 15 kicking options. My goal today is to try to prepare you as best I can to try to make the best decisions possible to go get a playoff win in most leagues. Those have started. So there has never been a more crucial week to make the right decisions, and you have a better chance at doing that by getting every little tidbit you can possibly pull. So that is what I'm going to try to provide you today. If you guys are new to the channel, welcome. Please consider dropping a like on the video if you find yourself enjoying the content. That helps me out a lot, helps continue to push the channel forward and get it out to those who maybe have not seen it yet. Also, if you have not done it yet, please subscribe to the channel. Relentless Press just passed our goal of 500. We are on our way to 1,000. If you want to help us out and jump on the bandwagon, we got plenty of room. With that done, let's hop into Week 15's quarterback rankings. And at number 1, I have Jalen Hurts. He continues to elevate his game. Over the last 3 weeks, he has put up a ridiculous stat line. 750 passing yards, 246 rushing yards, 9 tutties, and 0 interceptions. All 3 of those games were 30-point performances, and they rocketed Hurts into top 2 finishes. Josh Allen is my next man up. He gets a home matchup with the Miami Dolphins. He's had a tough time cracking those back-to-back elite defenses he has played, but that changes right here against the Finns. They're allowing nearly 21 points a game to passers. That is 4th most in the NFL. Allen is going to ball out in a huge division showdown. At the 3rd spot is Justin Herbert. He is going to continue his torrid pace. He's claimed his 4th straight top 10 finish against Miami last week, and now he gets the Titans, who allow a passer rating of 114.2. They've also allowed over 1,100 yards through the air in their last 3 games. Both of those numbers are bottom 2 in the league. Herbie, on the other hand, has thrown for 700 yards in the past 2 weeks, and I think he beats that incredible average. He throws multiple scores as well for the first time since week 12. Joe Burrow headlines tier number 2. He's got Tampa Bay this week, and he followed up his excellent performance against the Chiefs with a decent one against the Browns. And this is pretty simple. If Brock Purdy is able to get it done against Tampa Bay, I have no faith they're going to be able to slow down Joe Cool, T. Higgins, or not. You beat the Bucs through the air, and that is certainly going to be the case for Cincinnati. Rounding out my top 5 is Patrick Mahomes. He set a season high with 3 picks against Denver, but he was still able to conjure up a top 6 finish. It was his 2nd in a row. He remains a top 5 option, even in this brutal matchup because of the streak that he has been on. But know that nobody allows fewer points to the position than the Texans. In at number 6, and at the top of tier 3 is Tua Tagovailoa, who has not been what owners were hoping for over the last 3 weeks. He's failed to get inside the top 16 in even one of those games, throwing just 4 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. Buffalo is going to be yet another tough test for him, but with Jeff Wilson banged up, I think Miami has to throw it more than they would like, and the volume will help carry Tua. Dak Prescott is my next man up. He is in at 7. He had more volume than we expected last week, but he could not get inside the top 15 against the Texans. I am slightly concerned that once again, all or most of the touchdowns come on the ground here against the Jags, but they are giving up nearly 20 points a game to passers, so Dak is going to use that defense to get back into the top 10. Justin Fields sits at 8. He apparently only needs 1 arm to play football, so that is something that we did not know prior to the bye week. He has been on a tear since week 6. He's posted a top 5 finish 5 times, and he has never fallen outside of the top 8. I do think that Philly slows him down, makes it tough on him, but we know Fields is a threat to bust a long run at any time, and that is where the Philadelphia Eagles are most susceptible. I think he goes for his 4th straight game with 70 rushing yards or more and gives another stellar finish to owners. Deshaun Watson is at the top of tier 4. He gets Baltimore. I am going all in on him this week against the Ravens. Baltimore allows top 10 numbers in points per game to quarterbacks and passing yardage allowed as well. And with the rust coming off more and more, I think Watson progresses to a top 10 finish after he was quarterback 30 in his first week back in forever. He jumped up to quarterback 14 last week. Trevor Lawrence is in to round out my top 10. He has struggled in basically every minus matchup that he has had this season. That is what we see here with Dallas. So I understand if you are hesitant to roll him out in a crucial week. But I will say Lawrence has found his stride in this offense. He's posted 4 quarterback 1 finishes in his last 5 games. I think the Jags are going to need his big arm against Dallas to try to keep up with that high-powered offense. And with all of the damage that Lawrence has been able to do as of late, I am buying that volume. Kirk Cousins is up next. He's at 11. He had one of his best days of his career against the Lions. He threw for an incredible 425 yards and a pair of scores in a loss. He is going to need all of that momentum and more against this Colts squad. They're allowing just 188 yards passing on the season, 3rd fewest in the league. Jared Goff is my last quarterback 1 in week 15. He made good on my sleeper call of the week last week. He had his 2nd straight finish in the top 4, slaughtering my Vikings for 340 yards and a trifecta of touchdowns. He's averaging over 300 yards and 2 scores in his last 2 games as well, so he has been hot as he could possibly get. I do hate this matchup against the Jets, but right now Detroit has too many weapons who are playing good football, so as long as Goff is halfway decent, he will produce. Daniel Jones is my lucky number 13. He gets Washington on the road. He finished here or higher in back-to-back games, and he was a quarterback 1 just 2 weeks ago against this very same Commanders team. With Saquon Barkley banged up and ailing, I think Jones is asked to carry a larger load here, and I think the volume and his work on the ground will carry him. The next guy I am looking at is Mike White, who is set up for a massive performance against the Lions. He expectedly hit a road bump against the Bills last week, but Detroit will offer little resistance here. So I think if he is healthy, his floor is about 300 passing yards. He is my sleeper of the week if he is active. Tom Brady falls to 15 here, but he is at the top of tier number 6. He did get that ridiculous volume that I talked about last week, but he did not do a lot with it, finishing outside of QB1 range for the 7th time in 8 games. The Bengals are a top 5 team in both passer rating and points allowed to the position, so I think the GOAT struggles here, but he does enough to hit at this ranking. To 16, and it is Ryan Tannehill. He finally got back into the top 12 after a 2-week absence, and he could threaten that again, I think, conceivably here against the Chargers, depending on what defense actually shows up for them. LA is giving up over 17 points a game to passers. That is 11th most in the league, but they looked really good in basically murdering Tua last week. There is a risk here for sure, but I think the reward is worth it. A surprise candidate at 17, I have Brock Purdy traveling to Seattle. It is not someone that I was expecting in the fantasy playoffs, to say the least. But Mr. Irrelevant is suddenly more than just relevant when it matters most. Do I think he is great? No, not really. Actually, absolutely not. But he can produce here just like he did last week in the overall quarterback 8 finish against the Bucs. Seattle's defense is beatable and San Francisco's weapons are elite. Matt Ryan is in at 18. He gets Minnesota. And basically, it comes down to this. Any quarterback that is starting against the Minnesota Vikings is worth a look. I'm pretty sure I could throw for close to 300 yards against this team if I am being completely honest. And if you're looking at me sideways, I get it, but guess what? Minnesota has allowed over 350 passing yards per game over their last 3. That is most in the NFL. They're also allowing the 6th most points per game to the position on the season. So that means Matty Ice is going to make a late season appearance. He tears up my Vikings, and then please, dear God, they will fire Ed Donatel. To number 19, it is Derek Carr headlining tier 7. He dropped considerably in my rankings after an absolutely owner-crushing performance last week against the Rams. The Patriots have been stingy to quarterbacks all season long, and after last week's loss to Baker Mayfield, I think the Raiders' spirits may just have been broken. However, there is still a recent upside flashed by Derek Carr, so all hope is not lost. Taylor Heinicke rounds out my top 20. He was able to post a quarterback 1 finish against the Giants prior to the bye, and he gets them here again. I do not think it's outside the realm of possibility that he duplicates the success he saw here now at home. New York has allowed the 7th best passer rating over the last 3 weeks, which only further boosts his upside. Russell Wilson is my next man up. He decided to come back to life right before the fantasy playoffs, so thanks, Russ, a whole bunch for that. He toyed with our emotions and offered a glimpse of what could have been, but what hasn't all season long. The Cardinals are a great matchup here, and Wilson was the quarterback 3 last week before being pulled for that concussion, so he has to at least be considered. Would I want to bank on him? Absolutely not. But could benching him make you regret life? Yes, and that is why he is here at 21. Aaron Rodgers is in at 22. He could be wrapping up his season pretty soon, but he does have a shot at one more big game against the Rams. They're allowing nearly 270 yards passing over their last 3 games. That is 5th most in the NFL. My 8th and final tier starts with Tyler Huntley. I think he's a decent option if he is able to clear concussion protocol, but right now that is looking like a fairly big if. Huntley has flashed plenty of potential on the ground in the short time that we have seen him, which does raise his floor if he plays. My last QB2 in week 15 is Sam Darnold, who has posted back-to-back top 20 finishes since taking the starting job, but he has thrown for just 284 yards in those 2 games combined. If you are looking for upside, I have a little bit for you. The Steelers allow the 9th most points per game to quarterbacks on the season. The last quarterback I am looking at is Mac Jones. He gets a top 5 matchup to exploit here, but I have little confidence that he is going to be able to do anything substantial with it. Jones has thrown for over 250 yards just once since back in week 3, and he has 4 games of under 200 yards passing in that time. A couple quarterbacks who just missed the cut include Andy Dalton, Davis Mills, and Baker Mayfield. Before we hop into my kickers, great time to remind you guys, please crush the like button on the video if you are enjoying the content. Helps me out a ton. To all of my current subscribers out there, thank you. I could not thank you guys enough for all of your support, keeping the channel moving forward. It means a lot to me. And now let's hop into week 15's kickers. Starting us off is Harrison Butker at number 1. He's made 10 field goals over his last 4 games, and the Texans are not going to be able to bottle magic twice. So as long as the Chiefs don't only score touchdowns, which yes, is a possibility, Butker is going to put up another solid finish here. Kickers facing Houston this season have scored the 4th most points per game on the year, as if you needed another reason to roll him out there. Daniel Carlson is up next at 2. He gets New England at home, and at 3 is Tyler Bass against Miami. Brett Maher is in at number 4. He travels to Jacksonville, and to kick off tier number 2, I have Nick Folk against the Raiders. He gets downgraded a little bit with the injury to Ramondre Stevenson. I think that hurts the offense for New England as a whole, but whoever is playing for the Patriots is going to move the ball against Vegas. Folk already has 4 games this season with 4 made field goals or more, and he's going to post his 2nd straight top 10 finish in this one. Justin Tucker is up next at 6. He travels to Cleveland, and at 7 I have Evan McPherson in a matchup with Tampa Bay. In tier number 3, Ryan Succop starts it off in a home matchup with Cincinnati, and Greg the Leg Joseph gets Indianapolis. He is next at 9. To round out my top 10 is Michael Badgley. He traveled to New York to take on the Jets. Jets. And at 11, it is Wil Lutz in a matchup with Atlanta. Lutz has made 2 or more field goals in 2 out of his last 3 games. He's posted 10 points in each of those. It only helps that the Falcons have been generous to the position. I think they struggled to stop Alvin Kamara, so I think Lutz once again should help out managers. In my 4th and final tier, Gano kicks it off. He travels to Washington, and at 13, it is Younghoe Koo in that matchup with the Saints. Jason Sanders is in at 14, traveling to Buffalo, and the last kicker that I am pushing for week number 15 is Jake Elliott traveling to Chicago. Pretty much anytime you can get the leg behind one of the best offenses in the league, it is a win. I think the Eagles will put up a ton of touchdowns here, but Elliott has posted a top 6 finish in 2 out of his last 3. So I think he could crush this ranking, or he could bust like he has in 5 out of the last 7. A couple kickers who just missed the cut include Cade York against Baltimore, Randy Bullock traveling to LA, and Chase McLaughlin traveling to Minnesota to take on my Vikings. And that'll do it for today's video. Really hope you guys enjoyed the content. Let me know what you thought about my rankings, and drop any questions or comments you have down below. I love the engagement. It's one of the main reasons that I do this. I would love to be able to help you out. Please drop a like on the video if you enjoyed the content today. Help spread the word about Relentless Press to others, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. That way you don't miss a thing. Relentless Press drops videos Monday to Saturday. I usually do multiple videos every single day, and I do over 10 every single week. So by subscribing, you ensure you do not miss a thing. This is Relentless Press. I am your host, Abraham Opatz, and I will see you next time.